Hey, this is Alex Head, founder of Subtext Radio.
This is Subtext.
Please go ahead and click the like button and the subscribe button. It really helps us to reach new audiences and promote the artists that we work with. Hit like and hit subscribe.
I've come to ADATA Island to record a radio show, an audio documentary, and one of the first things to strike me about the island is how unsuitable it is to recording audio, or at least the type of audio I'd originally thought of recording. ADATA Island is in the center of Plovdiv, Bulgaria, in the Maritska River. It's midsummer, and the island is covered in green-leafed trees and thronging with birds that are there to eat the wild plums and mulberries, or maybe the insects that the fruit attract. It's hot as we descend the stairs from the bridge into the cool of the forest, and I can hear sounds of life everywhere. The island supports the pylons for a freeway, but it's large enough that I hope we can get away from the sound of traffic. But as we hike, another road comes into our field of hearing, and changing direction, yet another road becomes audible. The island is not just a difficult spot to record, it seems particularly unsuited to recording an audio documentary, because there is nowhere to be away from the sound of cars. Traffic noise is now audibly present in every city in the world, and outside them too. In the late 70s, R. Murray Schafer began a movement aimed at noise abatement, but also a movement to preserve soundscapes untouched by traffic and aircraft noise as audio recordings. This, combined with the documentary audio tradition arising from ethnomusicology, created the modern area of field recording. This radio show proposes to take an in-depth look at traffic noise, applying some of the techniques of field recording back onto the traffic noises that it began as a reaction against. Traffic noise is perhaps the most ubiquitous sound in the world. It has shaped sonic landscapes and spread the effects of humans where more solid materials have not. It is so ubiquitous that we rarely hear it, even though it is an almost constant part of most people's auditory realms. Lawrence English, in an article on field recording, writes,
The first horizon of listening is that of the organic ear. It's an internal psychological listening, and it's here we create our listening place. We actively prioritize certain elements and eschew others. An example is that, right now, as you read this, you are actively filtering a whole range of sounds from your listening. Take 10 seconds to reconnect with the sounds around you. That humming air conditioner, the television on downstairs, the traffic outside, those shoes connecting with the pavement nearby. Our ears are as good filters as they are listening devices, perhaps even better. This horizon is innately creative and agentive in that we shape and contour the impressions of place as a fluid and ongoing happening.
The audio recorder, though, does no such filtering. It is not selective in its listening, and when things are committed to recording, they seem to change, becoming noisier. Even software filters sounds much less efficiently than our ears do. And there's another thing. Though our daily lives are cluttered with traffic noise, there are very few audio works that contain or reference it sonically, at least not that I know of. I'm beginning to think of traffic sound as a context-free sound object, one that when recorded will tell you nothing about the time and place it was recorded, because it is more or less the same everywhere that it is documented. I got the idea of the context-free object from Ethan Zuckerman in his blog post entitled "Those White Plastic Chairs, the Monoblock and the Context-Free Object." Here are some quotes from it.
Ian Frazier, writing about the return of seals to the waters that surround New York City, offers this poetic observation about a white plastic chair. On a higher part of the beach, a single patio chair of molded white plastic commanded a wide view. Someone might have put it there to enjoy a beer in, or for winter sunbathing. Then again, it might have been flotsam. I have seen this identical type of plastic chair in photos of the Lagos, Nigeria, city dumps in the Times. A photo of a memorial gathering for a slain Al-Qaeda leader in Jordan showed a row of these same chairs in a tent. I own 6 of these chairs myself. I believe this type of white molded plastic chair belongs to the growing category of the world's ubiquitous objects. I don't have strong feelings about whether the monoblock is an object of beauty or a target of derision, though I'd suggest that any design as successful as the monoblock has proved its evolutionary worth. What I'm intrigued by is the idea that the monoblock is a context-free object. Almost every detail in a photo held information about the time and location the photo was taken. The shape of electrical outlets, labels on any consumer products, fabrics, clothing, all were clues as to whether a photo was taken in the 1970s or last week, in Sweden or in Schenectady. Virtually every object suggests a time and place. The monoblock is one of the few objects I can think of that is free of any specific context. Seeing a white plastic chair in a photograph offers you no clues about where or when you are. I have a hard time thinking of other objects that are equally independent of context.
So might traffic sound be an audio equivalent of the monoblock chair, a noise that doesn't suggest a time or a place? Cars, their makes and models, their paint types, number plates and tire tracks are often used as evidence in legal investigations. So to claim that traffic sound is generic when a car can identify a person, almost like a fingerprint, will require us to look more deeply into the nature of traffic noise and to see how traffic as a mass might differ from individual cars. Quora user Ganesh Subramaniam writes about the combustion engine sounds of cars.
The sounds that we hear are derived from the combustion in each cylinder and the corresponding pressure waves in the intake and exhaust systems. They are all key to the engine's rotational speed. As engine RPM rise and fall, the pitch goes up and down.
This is why one of the dominant sounds of traffic is the glissando of acceleration. Here's an example from the main highway crossing ADATA. Rob Rasmussen writes in Physics Today that
it is a common misconception that vehicle noise is largely the result of engine noise or even the wind noise of passing cars and trucks. In most instances, the dominant source, termed tire pavement noise, is actually located where the rubber meets the road.
Remember the sound of the island? Here's a closer recording of the road. Its rough cobblestones make it louder than the other tarmacked roads in Plovdiv. Tire pavement noise can be used deliberately, as it is in the rumble strip, a corrugation placed on the shoulder of the road to alert the driver when the car is on the road's edge. Tire pavement noise has also been used in an attempt to create musical roads. In 1981, Honda attempted to create a musical road that would play a few bars of the William Tell Overture. However, the sound was miscalculated and instead came out sounding like this. Tire pavement noise has also been documented in the Brooklyn Bridge before it was refurbished. The road's corrugations created a resonant frequency in the bridge, which was a sound beloved by New York experimental musicians like Sonic Youth's Lee Ronaldo. Other factors in road noise are cultural. In Southeast Asia, for instance, it's not unusual to have an unmuffled motorcycle. Here is an example, which also shows how engine noise masks other noises. Egypt, the culture of using car horns is ubiquitous. This is a recording from a relatively quiet cafe street in Cairo.
محمود انا فضيله نتكلم مع بعضينا بكره
أدا
I've heard rumors that in Egypt there is a type of Morse code sometimes used by drivers. There are two phrases in Arabic which are played rhythmically on the car horn to thank or indicate annoyance to other drivers. These phrases are, "You motherfucker," and "I love you." If tire pavement noise is the dominant factor in road noise, this will not be improved by electric cars with their almost silent engines. Let's go back to ADATA. We're now listening to the unfiltered recording. Here is the sound of the tires on the road. It's between 700 and 1300 hertz, but mostly around 1000 hertz. Here are some glissandos from the engine noise. Note that the glissandos of engine acceleration are intermittent, and the pavement tire noise is more or less constant. And here's the original recording with those sounds filtered out. My question is, what happens to the birds and insects that use these filtered parts of the audio spectrum for their calls? This is Bernie L. Krause in her essay, The Niche Hypothesis.
Each creature appears to have its own sonic niche, channel, or space in the frequency spectrum. and/or time slot occupied by no other at that particular moment.
The audio spectrum is a part of the environment often neglected by humans, and many animals use more or different parts of it than we do. Here's a section from a document called Impacts on Traffic Noise and Traffic Volume on Birds of Roadside Habitats by Kirsten M. Paris and Angela Schneider.
A range of behavioral responses to urban noise has been observed, including singing at a higher frequency, thereby reducing acoustic interference from the low-frequency noise, singing more loudly, and changing diurnal singing patterns to avoid peak traffic periods. Traffic noise may also affect bird populations and communities. Traffic noise was also proposed as the primary cause of reducing breeding success in willow warblers with territories close to busy roads. The males had difficulty attracting and maintaining a mate.
As an artist, I can make wilder hypotheses than scientists, and I can guess that birds and other animals that can adapt to the constant sound of traffic noise will gain an advantage over those that cannot. A major feature of the Anthropocene will be a lack of animals in general, but also a lack of diversity in those that continue. My initial intention was to mitigate my annoyance at traffic sounds by focusing my attention on them and examining them in detail. I think of sound artists who are pushed out of the sonic spectrum occupied by traffic and into unpopulated realms, different times of day and other frequencies, just like birds, but in so doing leave our reality, the reality of the Homogocene, undocumented. One of the few artworks that I can think of that use contemporary car sounds is this work by A. Combi. I'm going to leave it at that, but I'll leave you with this.
But when I hear traffic, the sound of traffic here on 6th Avenue, for instance, I don't have the feeling that anyone is talking. I have the feeling that sound is acting. And I love the activity of sound. What it does is it gets louder and quieter, and it gets higher and lower, and it gets longer and shorter. It does all those things which I'm completely satisfied with that. I don't need sound to talk to me.
Hello, that was Nathan Gray concluding the series ADATA AiR for Subtext. It's been a great pleasure. We've put out 7 shows within about as many weeks. 5 invited guests. We've had the DIY Church. We've had Gabriel Birch, Anna Kostreva. We've had, of course, Sibella Perry and Nathan Gray. We'd like to finish the series by looping back to create, in some sense, a closed loop for the work that's been made over the last 2 months. So we'd like to invite you to listen to the first show from Sibella Perry, Resident Receiver. And if this is in the stream and you're listening to it later, then go back to the first in the series, the first show in the series, and click play. And in this way we sort of create an island to share with you. Thank you to the European Capital of Culture, Plovdiv 2019. Thanks also to ZKU, Berlin, and thanks to 199 Radio. Thank you to Martin Zajcek, Sophie Inman, Stefan Welder, everyone that's contributed to the series. It's been amazing, it's been great here. We hope that everyone has a great time next year. Stay tuned. Cheers. Ciao.
I had seen the ADATA before from a camera, probably placed on top of a moving vehicle, circling the motorway that runs across it, and the empty streets that meet its shoreline. The access to the island is from the motorway, but there is nobody else walking along there. We duck under and tread down the staircase. Above us there is what looks like a face, inscribed in stone. Now that the ADATA is a place for investigations from a number of artists, we speculate who else might already be working there. Will the island be full of artists? Under the bridge there is a woman holding a reflector, a camera crew, a shoot taking place. We know they must be serious about spending time on ADATA, because like us they are wearing wellies. Here, the foliage is quite sparse. There is room to stand at a distance of a couple of meters, and the ability for the eyes to survey the surroundings. Bare concrete, graffiti, trash, piles of dirt and lush greens. Alex leads the way to the site where he has set up a camp before. Deeper we go, into thick foliage, and the route we take requires constant zigzagging, for it is impossible to